We start chapter 14 today. The chapter is called Tranquility. Janaka said, though appearing asleep like other men, one whose interest in the world is exhausted, whose mind has been emptied, who thinks only by inadvertence, is in reality awake. Though appearing asleep like other men, one whose interest in the world is exhausted, whose mind has been emptied, who thinks only by inadvertence, is in reality awake. So in a small verse like this, Ashtavakra could give us many clues. He's given us 3 clues in one verse as to not how to recognize, that is secondary. It can sound like it is how to recognize an awake one or something like this. But it is to find this within ourselves. So the first clue is what? One whose interest in the world is exhausted. So we've spoken about this, isn't it? That it is not that interest becomes an aversion. It is only that attachment falls away. We've discussed what is the nature of attachment. The nature of attachment is that I am an object who needs another object for its happiness. Without this play of me and mine, there can be no such thing as attachment. So interest in the world is exhausted in that way. I've often said that we are no longer approaching everything in the world with the mantra, what's in it for me. Not every situation is what's in it for me anymore. It is dropped away. The dropping is not the world. The dropping is this interest. What can I get from this situation? What am I getting now? What is it that we approach every situation thinking that we know better about what we need, rather than that supreme intelligence consciousness which has put this moment together. So we no longer approach the world in this way. And again, this clue is also repeated so many times. So again, we are coming back to this one. So interest in the world is exhausted, means that this play of me and mine, what can I get from the world? Does the world have some meaning in my reality? That drops away. Whose mind has been emptied. So also this one, don't misunderstand this to mean that the thoughts have stopped. When we hear something like this, we might feel like our thoughts have to stop. But here, the emptiness is that we are now empty of concepts. The thoughts might continue, but we remain empty of them. See, belief is no longer going to them. We do not believe them. Why? Because it is the mind, and the mind's job is to remind you of something which is not true, which is that you are a limited entity. So we don't believe the mind because in every message is coming the idea of your limitation, of how you are a body mind, how you are an object, of how separation happened, and how even if there is a God who is everywhere, it is everywhere but me. It is a constant reminder of this falseness, that some separation, some apartness, that we left God in some way and we are separate from that. Or we are no longer the self and we have to get to the self. That's why the seeker identity ultimately also we have to be empty of. That's why Guruji says, the one who starts the search is not there at the end of the search. It can seem like we start because we have this seeker identity who is seeking the truth. But in truth, there is no seeker or finder either. So this is what it means by mind has been emptied. Who thinks only by inadvertence. So now we're looking at the inadvertence, which means that sometimes, even for a sage, some belief will go to some limited concept about himself or herself. You see? So this is what means inadvertent, something that happens once in a while. You see? And for a moment, the reality is forgotten, and very quickly it comes back to this naturalness. This is a very important verse here because so many times I say, don't bother about 100%. There is no 100% in this phenomenal play. And that 100% itself will cause you to give yourself this report card, which will say, I am not free yet. Because, hey, Ashtavakra said, you must have no desire. But I saw this beautiful buffet, and then some desire came to have that buffet. Oh, I'm definitely not free. Something like this. So it's not that. Momentarily, some concept is bought. Sometimes, on the conveyor belt of thoughts, something will be picked up. But don't buy the next course, which is the guilt, the unworthiness. And if you end up leaving most of the meal, then be careful not to pick up the dessert, which is pride. That I do it so well. I'm beyond the mind now. So sometimes it's very good to give these reminders that in inadvertence, sometimes thoughts do get picked up, even for a sage. So those, though appearing asleep like other men, don't expect them to have halos. Don't expect them to be, wherever they walk, flowers are coming on their own, and all these kind of uh, out of the worldly expectations. Don't have any of that. They might appear just as regular as anyone else. You see? If Guruji goes to a restaurant, he doesn't have a guru pose. He's just ordering like everyone else. You see? So they might appear like other men, but because of these three clues that are given here, they are in reality awake. That was the first verse. When desire has melted, how can there be wealth or friends or the seduction of senses? What use is scripture and knowledge? So Janaka is saying now, see, because Ashtavakra was prodding him, why you still have wealth, how you have all of these things. So he's saying that they're there, but I have no attachment to them. I'm not desirous of them. The desire is gone. The outward play is functioning. If there is palace, it's okay. If there is hut, it's okay. How can there be wealth or friends or the seduction of senses? Because remember, Ashtavakra had prodded him, saying, with palaces, wives, all of these things, how can you be a king if you are free? Just to test his disciple. So he's saying that all of this is dependent on whether there is attachment. When there is no attachment, then how the worldly play plays is completely fine. Now, Janaka is both an excellent role model and a bit of trouble. A bit of trouble, why? Because as Guruji says, everybody wants Janaka style enlightenment. You know what? You want to be the king also, and you want to. See? So you have an expectation that, oh God, if it happens for me, oh Guruji, if it happens for me, please make sure that I have the Janaka style. So my comforts, my palace, you see, all this is not taken away. But truly, even this expectation drops away. And then you come to this prayer, I just want you, my Lord. I just want the self, Guruji, irrespective of how this body is kept after that. And then, whether palaces remain or don't remain, truly, this one is unconcerned. So some have remained kings, like Janaka, and some have given up their kingdoms and gone away. But nobody has come and said, yes, please, Father, take back this freedom. Let me have my money. Nobody has said that after getting the true taste of this. Nobody wants to exchange this, which is eternal, unchanging, for some momentary coins and plastic. As like Guruji said, nobody comes to the realization of the self and regrets it. Give me my old life back. Nobody has in that. Also, he said, what use is scripture and knowledge? A bit ironical because it is part of the scripture itself. This statement. What does this mean? That all this scriptural knowledge, all the mental concepts that we might have picked up about spirituality, here we are empty even of that. That's why the sage said, Sage Janaka now said, empty, empty including, because many, even in satsang for many, what they know of spirituality prevents them from becoming open and naked. Empty of all concepts. These are the babes which will enter the kingdom of heaven. So nobody is asking you to memorize the Ashtavakra Gita. Only saying, find the clues which are available to you, apply them, use them to empty yourself of conditions, and everything can be kept aside. Point of the concepts of satsang, the point of the pointing in satsang is to remove, is to empty out your basket of concepts, your basket of conditions. I feel Bhagavan said it best when he said that these are thorns that we are using to remove other thorns, and then these also will be thrown away. One of the best examples of the thorn being the question, who am I? It cleans up everything else, and at the end, even that is kept aside. He also said that we use a stick to light the funeral pyre, but we don't keep the stick after that. Once the funeral pyre is lit, then even the stick is thrown away into the funeral pyre. So when Janaka is saying now that I'm untouched by any of this, whatever might come and go, I remain just a solitary witness. And do I need a scripture? Do I need some knowledge? No. Everything is allowed to come and go in its own way. I have realized the Supreme Self, the witness, the one. I am indifferent to bondage and freedom. I have no need for liberation. Who can say these words? When the self is discovered, you realize that the self never needed anything. Freedom and bondage were not concepts that apply to the truth of what you are, but only that apply to that which you considered yourself to be. The whole Zen saying, isn't it? Only once you climb the mountain can you say that there is no mountain. So Janaka is now speaking from that position, where he is able to see that bondage and freedom never apply to the reality of what I am. It's only because I considered myself to be limited did I consider that I could ever be bound. If you have no shape or size, if you cannot be found as a localized object, what can tie you? What can bind you? If you are more spacious than this space, the space in this room, if you are that space in which this space is there, what can bind you? Nothing can even bind this space. Nothing can even bind time. These are the beautiful products of consciousness, time and space, and they cannot be bound. So that in which they arise, what can bind that? Therefore, first there must be the misunderstanding that I am a limited entity in some way within this objective time and space. Then I can consider myself bound, and then I can presume that I need freedom. So he's saying, I have realized I am the Supreme Self, the witness. Again, clues, you see, clues. Everywhere there are clues if you look. The witness. What is it that witnesses everything, all phenomena? This is the one. One with no two. I am indifferent to bondage and freedom. And indifference, not indifference as a mental attitude. Indifference means unconcerned. The movie is playing. But I know it does not hurt me, it does not touch me. The reality of what I am. I have realized the Supreme Self, the witness, the one. I am indifferent to bondage and freedom. I have no need for liberation. You see? So this time, after the break I took, when I started Satsang, I said, can we start from the true perspective? You see? Or do you all first again want to pick up the perspective that you are bound and then start the journey again? Or can we be true to the present right now and see in reality if there is any bondage? Can we take that little bit of insight right now and see whether the mask of being an individual entity who is bound and needs freedom is still so attractive for you that you have to pick it up? See? The have to only happens when you consider yourself to be less than the Supreme Lord, Supreme Self. Have to. For consciousness, there is no have to. See? That's why so often I describe it as a play, as a leela. Consciousness is playing with itself. Not because it has to, because it is just the will of consciousness. It wants to. And the best news is that you only experience reality, but you interpret it as bondage. There is never a true experience of bondage. A true experience of bondage. Suffering, bondage, all of this belongs to that one which you never can truly become. The ego, the identity. It is a minor aspect of your existence which plays out because consciousness still might be getting some, must be getting some juice from that play, some enjoyment in watching this movie and relating to the character as if it is that. Now, as it is outgrowing that play, going out of this individualized play, it is discovering its true nature. What is its true nature? I have realized the Supreme Self, the witness, the one. Then the last verse is the last verse, short chapter. Last verse is the inner condition of one who is devoid of doubt, yet moves among creatures of illusion, can only be known by those like him. The inner condition of one who is devoid of doubt, yet moves among creatures of illusion, can only be known by those like him. How? Because mostly when it is said like that you are free right now, what is the most common doubt that comes from the mind? It can't be that simple. Can it be this simple? Really? That is, although it seems light, but it's a doubt. Can it be simple? Basically saying, but it can't be that simple. It can't be this obvious. But but I've always known this. Something like that. So I'm reminded of two things. One from Papaji and the second from Yogiji, Yogi Ram Surat Kumar. So remind me, Yogi Ram Surat Kumar, if I forget by the time I finish telling the first story. One came, and I shared this video with some of the local ones here. One came to Papaji and said, Papaji, help me because I don't see God. Papaji said, God is seen by those who don't doubt. Don't doubt. Now, don't is doubt. What do you see? Again, he said, but I don't see God. Papaji said, what did I just say? Don't is doubt. Drop it. And what do you see? I see God. And it was not this word play. In that moment, something shifted in him where he saw that all that he's been seeing is only God. And he's been labeling it as object, as thing, as me, as other. What a beautiful interaction. We are so lucky that it got captured on video. Such a simple satsang. One comes, yes. One came and he said, I don't see God. And he must have had some openness, some innocence too. And Papaji said, don't is doubt. Drop don't. What do you see? Just for one moment it came back, but I don't see God. Like, what did I say? Don't is doubt. What do you see? I see God. And then what did he say? It's that simple. It's that simple. Isn't it? He said like, it's just that simple. That's all there is to it. We have been only misinterpreting. All there is God. We have been interpreting it as something individual, something as a separate object. So this is what I meant earlier when I said, Jesus said, only the babes will enter the kingdom of heaven. Exactly what it means. The mind will come and tell you, no, I know better. And if you buy the story from the mind that I know better, then why call anyone your guru in the first place? Even the mind is the guru still. So openness to the master means that master knows. And what is the master? Master is just the voice of your own divine presence, of your own Sadguru, which is the heart itself. So that's why many forms of spirituality, the spiritual journey is known as the journey from the head to the heart. We move from allegiance to this voice of the mind to this intuitive presence, intuitive voice, intuitive guidance, which is satsang. The second one was from Yogi Ram Surat Kumar, where he said, if you're looking for God, then don't give in to the possibility that anything else exists. And he said, maybe I'm paraphrasing a bit, but if God is what you want, why do you give the possibility that there is something else? The possibility that there is something else, which is actually against your most innocent insight right now, is doubt. And we have nourished this doubt, nurtured this doubt. Every time we have believed the concept of an individual me, we have played the prodigal son. Every time we have bought the story of the me. And if you play the prodigal son, then it can feel like when we come back home, there's bound to be some fear. How will my father accept me? Will he treat me badly? So this guilt, this fear, and then the hope that maybe I can make it as a person. You see, this is the story, isn't it? Maybe I can still make it, and he tries and tries and tries. Nobody has ever made it to this eternal peace, eternal contentment by retaining the idea of separation, of separateness. It is only upon discovery of the truth. The truth is valuable only because of this. If it could happen that in believing a lie, you could have an eternally content life, then what is the value of truth? There's no value, isn't it? It must be that something at some point or the other starts to poke you when you're believing something which is not true. So this chapter is called Tranquility. If you don't doubt, it is impossible to not be at peace. So many things over the years you have heard in Satsang. When you hear something like, the universe knows the recipe, it is not making a mistake by putting too much salt in your life or too much sugar in your life. God knows what it is doing. If you doubt that, why God? Why? Why does it always happen to me? I've said this before that why is the favorite question of the mind. Is it? And who is the least favorite? Just one alphabet change. Why is the favorite question of the mind? Why me? Why? Especially this why me? Why? Including in satsang. Why father? Why? Why me? Why am I still suffering? This one just came yesterday. He looks like he's free from all suffering just in one day. And I've been coming for 3 years. Why me, father? So I say, what about if we change that question from why me to who me? Um, yeah, I know, father. Nothing is happening to awareness, father. Then who is this you? This why me? Anything to do with the me is the voice of the doubt. Another beautiful satsang by Guruji, which all of us should watch, and I mentioned this recently also, is he's sitting with someone and he says, if I stick out my finger, huh, and I tell you, suck my finger, and you come like a child and you do it, and you don't question, did he wash his hands? Why is he asking me what is going on here? I don't think, all this kind of thing. And you have that kind of innocence of a child. It's, but doubt is this one. Why is he really awake? Who has told him that he can share satsang? This kind of nonsense we play with our mind. Who, but this one is 100% awake, this one is 75%. We have mental list of satsang teachers. Yeah, all this. All it needs is one instant of emptiness, one moment of insight for you to recognize what is your reality, which is so far beyond this worldly play. The worldly play will continue if that is your will as consciousness, but it will not affect you. You will not feel like your existence is threatened by the play of the world. This is the beautiful chapter on tranquility.